at this problem again, okay, and we're trying to match on only uh, odd values as far as a decimal value, okay, as we're typing in the address. We only want to match on odd numbers of the third octet, okay? And miserably did I fail, okay? And here's the thing. We all gonna fail, okay? How we handle that failure, okay, is what separates one from another, okay? So, you're at work, okay, you're troubleshooting, okay, and you refuse to give up, okay? Well, you gotta understand, because you are the engineer, okay, that was called to fix the problem. Just because you're an engineer does not mean you're not going to be working on operations, okay? Meaning that there's a break fix problem, okay? And again, you could be an engineer that doesn't do that. That's for the knock, okay? So, but whatever shape or form is, okay, remember your priority should be to get that problem fixed as fast as possible. Okay? Alright? We have a tendency as IT folks to not do that. Okay? So let's analyze what I did last video. Video should have probably been 10-20 minutes. Okay? The moment that I knew I was failing, okay, I should have stopped the video. But what did I do? Well, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Okay. All right. And this is what we do. Okay. When we're at work. And next thing you know, okay, 30 minutes into that problem, okay, which was hours ago, you should have been called Cisco Tag. Okay. All right. All right. Have them take a look at the situation. Had a conference call with them, and they're going to have to get back to you because they got to analyze the problem. Okay. That could be hours. It could be days. Who knows? Okay. It could be a problem that never gets fixed and it's drawn out for months. Okay. Or you could be as mad as you want, but it's not solvable because one point is it's either a new problem that Cisco has not come across, okay, or it's a complicated problem, okay, and what should work is not working. All right, either way, okay, all right. I knew at that point we tried like 4 or 5 things. Okay, all right, it's time for me to bail out. All right, and go back to the drawing board, which means go do research. Now, after that, what I would do is I would spend hours of research, okay, and then lab it to verify that I've understood that. But that's not what happened with this case, okay? All right, I found these two things within 5 minutes, okay? And now let's back up now. When I do research, I stay away from forums and communities. I don't mess with them, okay? Unless, okay, I'm going through training, okay, learning a topic. I can't find documentation on it. Maybe I'm not using the proper keywords, okay? So here's the thing. If I say Cisco wildcard for odd numbers, okay, I'm going to get a crap load of forms, okay? All right, every time I think it's documentation, it's a form. All right, and I can click out of it. I can go to the next one. I go to the next one. Then I can go to the next page. Okay, so some point knowing how a search engine works, maybe we need to be less wording for more specific if results. So I just typed in Cisco wildcard, okay, and 3 pages, 3 results down, okay, I came to a Cisco Press page, all right, which is one of my favorites, okay, and this month, this sucker right here, these two, were right there at the very top of the page, okay, all right, so we're gonna try now. My research stopped, okay, so we're going to try to take this theory here because I'm telling you, all right, this part, even though I've learned it before and understood it before, would have never crossed my mind, okay, doing that last video or even today, regardless, okay, all right, because it's just, again, it's one of those things where I have to revisit, okay, all right, so now 5 minutes of research, and now we're going to see if I'm doing this correctly. Okay, so I'm going to turn all the bits onto my address. All right, I'm gonna copy this. Oops. Okay, so that's gonna be the same, but let's look at this. A wildcard 0 matches the corresponding bits. The 1 ignores the bits. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm going to ignore all the bits in octet 1. Okay, now, if that's also the case, I'm going to ignore all the bits except the last bit, which I want it to be a 1. Okay? So, that means here, okay, I'm going, okay, so hold on. Okay, so, see, I'm confused on whether I really want to match on 255 on all the bits or just the 1 bit. Okay? And I'm going to make it a 1. Okay? Alright? And I'm going to say here, if I'm going to turn 1 to ignore those bits, all the way from 128 to 2 are going to be turned on. That's making this 254. I want to ignore all those bits, okay? And then ignore all these bits. Okay? Do you see how I'm using that to get my logic? And the address. So I'm going to try that because I think this should be 001 0. Okay? And you know what's funny? As I'm actually pulling out that information, that's from my CCI lab days. Because I had to really know this for, and I actually had to use it in the lab. I mean, it actually was a requirement. So luckily, I did study that pretty well. But that's me pulling it back, so I don't really know if that is the correct answer. So now, let's try this. Okay? Config T. Alright, so we say do show history. You can see. Oh, God. Yeah, that's the right router. Well, that's interesting. Um, maybe my history is not that long. Maybe it's only that's all I got. Um, and we're definitely not shit. Do show run include access. Okay, so now we're gonna say no. Okay, so let's try this. 255. And this is gonna be 254. Let's see how that works. Do show run include. Let's make sure it actually took the access list, which it didn't because I didn't apply it because I had a no there. Ah, it changed it. It did change it. Okay, so it's 0.0.1.0. Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's wait for our EIGRP to resync. Ha 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 ha. We are successful. Odd numbers. We did it. We did it. Okay, now do you understand the concept of memorizing something, okay, compared to fully understanding it? Okay, and if you type something in wrong, Okay, either you're going to get a syntax error or the iOS is going to correct you. Okay, so the best way I could teach this is a wildcard 0 equals match the corresponding bit, 1 ignore it, which is the opposite of the card, which is why the IP address when we're going from binary to decimal, which means that's why we call it the reverse mask. And I was not doing the reverse. Okay, I was however my thought process was at, but we did it. Okay, all right. So if that's the case, okay, let's understand if okay, this is wrong because I was looking for that. Okay, so let's say if I turn on the the bits, okay, only the bits, and I only match on the bits, okay, that have a one turned on in the IP address in the fourth value place, I'm going to pull all those IP addresses. Okay, the only way to really test this, okay, is to find out what gets pulled in your access list, okay, with a distributed list and having 255 addresses. Okay, give you a better understanding as a last resort of checking your work. Okay, all right. Now, you don't see this in training. You know, you don't see this in books. Okay, I have never seen it. So if you've seen it, great. Okay, use it. Okay, meaning that in your lab, I don't care if it's GNS3 on your laptop, on your work computer, whatever. I don't care. Have a route. Have two routers hooked up. Okay, with 255 loopback addresses on there, so you can get granular with that. Okay, but most people don't realize that the granular part of the wildcard mask allows you to match on bits that are turned on comparing to the address that you had defined in that same line. Okay, this was very difficult for me to teach. Okay, all right, when I was doing my post back then. Okay, I think it was like Facebook I was doing it because when I had my Facebook page, it was only Cisco stuff. All right, so now, so that topic got killed. I erased it, and that was the end of it. Never brought it up again. Okay, this gives you power beyond on belief. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. Okay, and let's say that which is going to be a very short video, by the way. Okay, so now, okay, okay, these are this is your router one is your is your router. Okay, all right. Router 3 and Router 2 are ISP routers. Okay, let's say whatever routing protocol you're using, like BGP. Okay, all right. Let's say as routes are coming in, okay, for ISP 1, okay, which would be Router 2, okay, I only want to bring in half the routes because the routing table of the BGP is probably 800,000 strong. Okay, and then on Router 3, okay, I'm going to bring in the other half. Again, setting a wild card, I think it's like 127 in the first octet, okay, will allow you to do that. Okay? All right, that means now half your traffic's coming in on ISP1, half is coming on 2, and technically you're load balancing your traffic, which technically you are, but technically you're not because you're not using the router to do so, but you're doing it via a wildcard method, okay, in the routing protocol of BGP by doing a distribute list, okay, or a which we haven't talked about yet, so I'm not gonna bring that up. Of doing a distribute list, okay, I want to bring in 1 through 127 on the first one, and 128 to 255 of the first octet on the other ISP. Okay, so now half my traffic is going here, half my traffic is going here. Okay, all right, it's not really considered load sharing or load. Well, I mean, you can consider it load sharing, but it's not load balancing because we have no idea what IP addresses people are using. Okay, all right, but see, you're still utilizing both your ISPs in a more efficient manner just by using a wildcard bit. Wildcard bits gives you the power that most engineers have no clue is even possible. They just remember the .254, the or the .1 or the .127. It's just those are the ones that they remember. Okay, all right, but it's from memory. It's not from knowledge. I hope that's clear. Okay, guys, we're done with this concept. Okay, we should understand better with the wildcard mask. Okay, there will be wildcard masks that you do put into memory, and you know what type of results that you get. But to utilize the wildcard to its full potential, understand these two things. Okay, all right, and understand that understanding is so much more important than pulling from memory and just repeating somebody else's actions that told you this is the way it's done. Be strong, be determined, be Cisco.